Hey guys, Justin here again. I guess it's time to actually start the build on the computer now. So I'm going to start off with the, let's see, let's set you right here, because if I remember right, this should be pretty well in the shot. So we're going to start off by putting the CPU in, which I have never done before, so this should be fun. That gives you a good idea of about how much pressure should be put on there, I suppose. All those pretty little pins. Okay. I apologize, I had a Bob Ross moment. Okay. So I guess I could have prepped a little better and had this out of the cardboard at least. So we'll take you out. And the triangle has to line up with the triangle. And that appears to be, well, the way that would make sense with the letters facing. Okay. That should be it. So we're going to put the cover back down. We should pop the cover out. This does actually require a fair amount of force. A lot more than what I was expecting anyway. Oh man, look at that. So now we got a processor in the board. I'm going to go ahead and put solid state SSD in next. So I'm going to go ahead. Oh. And like I said before, I haven't done the research on exactly what length this thing is. Which is something I probably should have done by now. I wonder if it says on here anywhere. I don't think so. And actually, as a matter of fact, I don't think this one came with paperwork, and I could be mistaken. I just forgot where I put it. I don't remember a book in that package. So let's do the next best thing. Let's eyeball it. Let's see, I said I wanted to use the bottom slot. Okay, well actually, ideally, I think, or this is ideal because I believe 80 millimeter is exactly where this thing's supposed to be, so it will fit in that bottom slot. Also, by the way, I should probably make the disclaimer, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies, not by Newegg or iFixit or anything else. I do geek things, so I buy from geek companies, and this is just what I happen to have. And this computer came out of my own pocket, and it hurt really, really bad. As I mentioned, I kind of need some time to recover here, or the bank account needs time to recover anyway. Let's go with, what is that, a 1? I'd say a 1 fits that quite well. Okay, so I'm actually going to set you right on top of here. Back this out. I'm doing a terrible job with lighting too. Try and keep my hand out of the way here and let you guys see what's going on. That's it for that. So if you would come with me, that would be appreciated. Okay, now we get to put you in. Do you go? Okay, well, let me stick you. It's shallow enough I should be able to get a hold of you. Okay, you sit there. There we go. A little bit of pressure on that. Put the M.2 drive in, and then everywhere I've ever seen, the drive pops itself up in the air to make it easier to remove later, I suppose. So, now for the fun part of juggling all this stuff. And hopefully not dropping the screw. There. I don't see any point in tightening down any of this too much. Should all be fine. So there we go. There's the SSD installed. So set you right back over here. And now for the memory. Probably just peaked the audio again. I'm sorry. Okay. Case sticker, you go in the motherboard box for now. And actually, this is a point where I'm going to stop and RTFM and make sure I set these DIMMs in the right slot. This is your best friend. Follow it. Okay, so given what we have in the manual here, slots 1 and 2. So we need to pull those back to allow DIMMs to go down in the board. And I'm going to go ahead. I know I said earlier I was thinking about keeping a spare, but I'm dumb and I want things to go fast as humanly possible because that's the car guy in me, I suppose. Also, make sure you install this in the right direction. Don't be dumb like me. Should be able to press that in and they'll latch themselves. Okay. Did I do it in the wrong direction again? I did. Okay. Another thing it's a good idea to do is remove your plastic up off the top of this thing because nobody likes melted garbage. Okay, where do you start at? Oh, or I can just do this. There you go. Sneaky piece. Trying to hang on. You get down in there. I swear there's still a piece on there. There is. Man. Okay, there we go. There's all that. So this should be everything we need to do a test run and make sure it boots up. I believe. So again, I'm going to pause here. And I think I'm actually going to go reference one of Paul's videos from Paul's Hardware. And make sure that I have the same amount of stuff installed that he does whenever he test boots his up. I feel bad about not putting the cooler on the CPU first, but it should be okay for just long enough to start it and make sure we can get it to fire up. Here, let me rotate this also just so maybe the lighting allows you to see it a little better. So the SSD is installed, RAM's in, processor's in. And I'm thinking it's time to play. So I happen to think I know exactly where my thermal paste is. Set you there, try not to be loud. Because as you see, I have an Xbox down here in this iFixit box. Happens to be the Red Ring of Death Fix Kit, which I bought simply to replace the thermal paste inside of the 360 because it is getting old. And it turns out I kept my thermal paste inside the box. So I found it. Also, additional things I just learned. You definitely want to install a CPU cooler first. And it helps to have a power supply to turn it on later. So, here we go, I guess. So, again, directions are your friend. Also, speaking of directions, I double-checked in the manual just to be sure. The M.2 SSD that I'm using will take 2 lanes away from the by 4 slot down here at the bottom. I'm okay with that because I don't foresee using that. And I want, one of the things I forgot to mention earlier, I want the SSD at the bottom because your CPU and your graphics card is going to be generating a lot of heat, and I just want to kind of keep it a little bit further away from that stuff because heat does kill electronics. So I have that to keep in mind. Okay. So, again, following the instructions, which reminded me that I needed to get my brackets out. Okay, it says for Intel and AMD to remove the first fan, remove the only fan. So, if you would come back out of there, and this is probably how I bent my fans before. Come out of there. Or fans. Don't bend fans, that's bad. Still don't seem. Good enough. And it wants you to use gloves to do this, it seems like, but I'm not going to because, well, because I'm dumb, I guess. Yeah, see, that looks like it's just attached with screws. Those brackets have to be available aftermarket. So anyway, we'll leave the fan. Let's get rid of the plastic. Make a little more room here. Okay. So we have removed the fan. What is next? Peel the label and put your thermal paste on. So if we're going to peel this label and not touch that. There's more adhesive stuff. We'll go ahead and get into the thermal paste. And this is kind of what I was seeing elsewhere on the internet. It seems like Arctic MX4 is probably one of the better pastes out there. Take your pick. I'm sure it's going to start a big flame war that I even decided to say that, but this is what I'm going to use. Non-curing and no bleeding means longer service life of the compound. In contrast to metal and silicon compounds, MX4 does not show decreased performance over time. It does not need to be reapplied and has a durability of at least 8 years. Well, that's handy. MX4's consistency is engineered for simplicity of application, superior thermal conductivity, and high durability. With its new formula, the MX4 guarantees exceptional heat dissipation. Okay. Not that any of that's that big a deal. Okay, so the fun part, which should just remove this. And then for this, everybody always says, well, not everybody, because I've heard both rice-sized and pea-sized, and you guys need to get together on this because those aren't the same size. So I'm going to kind of use similar to what I think I've seen other people use in different videos. I'm going to use the ram to steady my hand and completely block your view. I'm sorry. Maybe spread it around a little. That should be good. Then the thing with thermal paste too is that you don't want to overuse it. And again, I'm talking like I'm the pro here. I'm not, but from what I've learned from other people, you don't want to overuse it because it is conductive, and if you get it on the outside of the CPU, that it can actually conduct electricity across things that you don't want electricity conducting across. Okay, so there's that part. We're going to skip all this AMD stuff because we're not working on AMD. And we'll skip to the Intel. I believe that's already been done. There shouldn't be additional. Take all these brackets out. Probably make finding things a lot easier. You can come out here. You can all come out here. Oh, hey, look, there's additional brackets right in the bag. So that's convenient. Right there's your answer. You don't even have to go out online and buy them. They're right there. So if you want to put another fan on later, you can. That little foil bag that I was talking about earlier is thermal paste. Like I say, I've done research. I feel like I've done... Never mind. I'm going to start a flame war. But like I say, from what I've read, it seems like MX4 is not a bad option. So I'm going to use it. And I do not see additional feet or studs in here anywhere. So I'm going to assume they're already on the package. So the directions are kind of slightly, maybe a little misleading. So you don't have to deal with that. 1150, okay, maybe so. It says to stick them in the middle for 1150, whatever, 1150 or 1151. And it seems like that is perhaps where we're at. Okay, so I need to figure out what screws those are. H and B. Okay. H, there's only 2 of. It doesn't look like the ones with the springs on it. And I want the brackets that are angled, so I want this one and this one. So these can go there. Those are standoffs. Hey, there's some screws that look like the ones I need. Thermal paste you can hang out, I guess. Well, this would be handy if I had a little more room to just dump stuff out on the table. I thought I had plenty of room too. This is going to be really bad when we start getting the case up here and everything. No, no, don't fall out. One down. Come here, number 2. You worked for me, number 2. Alright, so from the looks of things... Okay, so it's going to thread into the actual bracket itself. So I was thinking those holes look a little large for... That's not that steady. I'm going to end up breaking my motherboard. And also, I guess probably at number 1 again. Need larger. Okay, make sure we get everything oriented right. Obviously, screws are going to have to point downward. And this is going to go on top. The screw's going to come in from the bottom. So, let me see. Can I set you down for now and still manage all this? Will you start by hand? don't know why they told you to put the paste on the CPU already. I'm already worried about bumping it and getting it all over the place. I can definitely wait till just after you get all this stuff set up. Okay, that's plenty tight enough there. So you set here again. Give me my other bracket. I just touched the wrong part. Remember that part we said not to touch? Don't touch that. Because that will affect your heat transfer. Okay. We're working in such a tight area down here too anyway with screwing the brackets in. It's not, I wouldn't say it's necessarily easy to keep from touching it. There we go. Leave you set over there. Okay, so we have the brackets on. What am I missing here? Okay, so we just did the first step over here. Second's to put it up through the motherboard. We're going to put the standoffs on. So slide this right under here. That can sit there like that, and then we'll install our standoffs. Before I tighten that down too much. Well, that's something I should probably pay attention to. I don't think those are the ones with the studs. F. Yeah, those do not have the studs on them, okay. So I need my other bag of hardware wherever I stuck that. So you will be next. Little standoff. If you feel like removing yourself from the bag, there we go. If you wouldn't mind. You. And you. Okay, those are the same on either end too. It looks like you can install them in either direction. Something else I probably should have paid a little more attention to earlier. This would probably be a fun one to try and install back here in this corner. Okay, let's get the next one started. I hope you guys aren't particularly offended if my hands keep getting in the way here and preventing you from seeing a whole lot. Let's see. I don't really know that these have to be a lot more than hand tight. So we're kind of going a cross pattern to make sure. Okay. I think I'm going to need a bigger Phillips head than this. Maybe. probably. So we can say that so far, every screw in this thing has been a different size. Not a huge deal. But I like complaining, so there you go. I'm not putting too much torque on these, just enough. Because I figure once we get everything all up and running, there probably will be some vibration. So to some degree we got to worry about stuff backing out, but I'm not going to get too crazy with it here. That'd be horrible if you cracked the PCB right now. That'd be sad. Very sad. Okay. Okay. So since that one didn't tighten down, I'm going to assume the other ones are good. There is a little standoff wrench adapter deal. I suppose not really a wrench. You can go back in there. So the standoffs are all on. And now we get to install the cooler. Just kind of getting started by hand here. Okay. We're probably going to go back down a size again. The springs make all kinds of not nice noises while you're tightening those down and make you worry. So that's handy. This one just feels like it's going to tighten forever. I'm just kind of tightening them down to where I can feel them starting to get snug. Okay, there we go. Yeah, I just did that. I guess that's good proof that God hates you when you install your CPU cooler wrong. So I'm going to back these back off now and install it facing the right direction. I'm sorry to everybody that was screaming at me. It was just convenient because it was, you know, I wanted it facing me and all. That's out of there. I believe this one's out. that one is out. Now we just need to remove you. And then refrain from being a dumb on the next try. I probably should... The paste did look like it spread fairly well whenever I pulled it back up. I don't think we got too much in there. Okay. I don't understand. That's why it seems like some of these screws don't want to start in quite as far as the others. Yeah, that one's tight already. Okay, let's make sure we're doing fairly even pressure here. Are we doing anything? I hope. This one is not giving me warm fuzzies. Hey, there we go. It helps. Fairly similar. No. At this point, I'm kind of looking at the screws, or the springs in between the screws, and trying to get those evened up. Because I'm probably not applying an equal amount of pressure to these. Snug. And that is snug. So let's go here again. Snug. Snug. I'm applying just a little more pressure to him this time. One more time here. Okay. I'm gonna go with that. So we've done we did the cross tightening. That's for 2011. Now they want you to put the fan back on and connect it to the CPU fan header, which I need to get back in the motherboard manual and make sure I'll get the right connector for that one. CPU fan is the top one, okay? So you are going to go right here. Let's see, will you slide down once we get you in place? Because that is way too far up. Well, and here we are encountering issues. So I'm going to take this RAM back out. See if that won't buy me enough room to try this again. And preferably in a slightly more effective position. That side's in place. Okay. So let's have another shot at this. So this makes it quite evident that using a fan on this side is going to end up being difficult later if you install 4 DIMMs or RAMs. So I'm glad I do not have 4. So, note to self, when it comes time to take this apart again, take that RAM out first. So we will have the option of putting the second fan on later. By the looks of things, the way I had this thing turned sideways, it should have plenty of room for that later. But for now, that's the CPU cooler installed. And now we should be ready for a test fire. Right after I plug this in. Let's see. Well, let me make this a little bit easier here. Her light would probably help. So from in the manual, I ended up figuring out that the top connector here is going to be your CPU fan. So let's try again. There it goes. Okay. There's that part down, and I'll have to find out what I need to do. Tuck that wire away. Probably just do something like that. Anyway, in the meantime, let's connect our 8-pin and 12-pin. Or sorry, our 8-pin and 24-pin. 12-pin would probably not be enough. I've decided that the motherboard box is just going to collect everything, I guess. Let's see. So this, let's untangle you. Where's my little catch? So you go right here, and you will go facing around this way. And this is really highlighting the fact that these cables are fairly stiff and they're going to be hard to redirect later, so that should make those nice and fun. Okay, so what I'm going to do now, let's see, here in just a second I'm probably going to have to turn you off because the battery is low in the GoPro, and I'm going to turn my power supply on, and I'm going to have to connect up HDMI into the back of the monitor, and then I'll have to short out a couple pins down here. I'm pretty sure it's these two red ones, or the two ones that are on top of the red. Before you take my word for it, let me verify it here. So yeah, it is. It's the two red pins right here. We'll just short those out, and it should allow this to fire because like I said, I don't see surface mounted power buttons on this anywhere. There's not. Okay, so I'm just going to use a little flathead screwdriver. And we'll make it work here. I think it's going to work.